with you about the $25,000 grant program. I normally don't market grants so heavy because all grant money is not free. Some grant money cost a lot of money. Sometimes it's a little money. And when I say cost money, if you're paying a higher interest rate to get the down payment assistance, then it's costing you. So if you end up paying more for the grant with the higher mortgage payment than you received in grant funds, then that grant cost you money. Now that is quite okay. If you are into that particular situation, if you have no other funds available, and if you have to go the higher interest route and you can afford your payment, it's not a terrible thing. But I'm here to educate you on what we have going on. So I am Natasha Robinson, loansbynatasha.com on Instagram. I try to update you guys on everything that we have kind of going on. And I am Natasha Robinson on Facebook. What I do is I offer conventional FHA, VA, USDA loan programs available to you. And sometimes I can offer down payment assistance, and sometimes I offer renovation loans. And not sometimes, if you qualify or if you need them, I'm offering these programs all the time. So I do offer FHA renovation, VA renovation, and conventional renovation. Some grants you can use with the renovation loan, and I'll repeat that again. One grant that I have, you can use with the renovation loan. The other grants are pretty for properties that are not in need of renovation based off what I have in my Rolodex. So we have been talking about how you can get $45,000 in down payment assistance. I have a Zoom today. I'm on somebody else's on Wednesday. I just was at an event on Sunday. So what that means is that the down payment assistance word is spreading, and now some of the other lenders are picking it up. So there is not going to be as many funds available. So if you are under contract or close to contract, or if the only thing holding you back from contract is getting some funds for down payment, today is your lucky day. This grant is awesome and amazing, not only because they're giving you up to $25,000, but you don't have to have a super high credit score, and the interest rates are not as high as they are on other grant programs. I just locked a interest rate in today, FHA, and I was at 6.75 with about a 6.99% APR rate. And what that basically means is that this grant is within the market. Now, let's talk about the down payment assistance program, the Cook County grant. This is the new program. We had a City of Chicago grant that was out about 3 years ago. When I tell you I absolutely love this grant, it gave me the ability to really help people. And the thing that I love about it is that the middle class, right? The middle class buyers who make six figures and are in the highest tax bracket, we pay so much money in taxes. So it's almost like we're caught in that middle. So even if you make enough money, it's just not enough because you don't get anything free, right? You have to pay for everything, and it's just not enough to bridge the gap. Well, the good thing about this program is that if you are in a targeted area, there is no income limit for you, okay, guys? There is no income limit if you buy a property in a targeted area. Now, today, I ran addresses for about 4 properties. One property was a condo in the skirt parts of North Kenwood, right? We were on 48th. We were east on 48th. That was in a tract, and I'm in Chicago. And then I ran one in South Shore in the tract. Believe it or not, I ran one in Bronzeville in the tract. What that meant is that it's in a targeted area, and you can make $500,000 a year and still taking advantage of that. Now, for all my people who work hard every day, they make 6 figures and they just want to rent luxury, they don't want to be a pioneer, buy a piece of property. This is an opportunity for you, and you have to live in a property for 1 year. Try it out for 1 year. If you don't like it, you can rent your property out and go purchase or rent somewhere else, but definitely try to build some wealth because you can bring it back to your family tomorrow. Okay. I'm going to go into my slides so I stay on track here. This is a short presentation, and that's because the grant is short and sweet. So the Cook County grant, $25,000. So if you purchase a house for $500,000, they're going to give you 5% of the purchase price. So the max is $25,000. So anything over $500,000, you will get the full $25,000. If you purchase a house for $300,000, right, you're going to get $15,000 because 5% of $300,000 is $15,000, right? And so forth on. $200,000, you're going to get $10,000. So the only way to get $25,000 on this one particular grant is to purchase something for $500,000. don't worry, because if you don't need 25,000 and you still can get into that home, you're just trying to get in the home, right? So don't go spend 500,000 if that's not in your budget. Buy what you can afford and take advantage of the grant. This is for conventional and FHA loans that you can purchase and combine this grant, right? And like I said, the rates are nice, 6.75 for FHA. I did have a conventional grant today. We were at about 7.125 on the conventional loan with the APR of about 7.9. But I had a client and we actually brought the rate down 2 points. So they were purchasing a house for 500,000. I was able to give them $15,000 in grants, and then I was able to buy the rate down and get them a 6.875 interest rate conventional, right? And that had about a 7.2 APR. So with that being said, we have a lot of options. And just so you guys know, my MLS number is 332-074. I am a licensed loan officer in 18 states. And my NMLS number is 332-074. Now we're going to talk about who's eligible, right? The first people that are eligible for this property are people who are first-time home buyers and individuals who are not first-time home buyers. The only requirement is at the time of closing, you cannot own more than one property. In addition to that, it must be your primary resident. So all my investors out there that's trying to house hack, that's watching all the great Instagrammers and all of that good stuff, this grant is for someone that plans to live in the property in real life and that is going to utilize the grant as a stepping stone to house hack and get to their next level. This is not for an investor. This is somebody that's truly going to live into the property, okay? There is a home buyer course, and it is an 8-hour course. There are some online courses that you can get done quite quicker than the 8 hours, but this program is available and they do require the course. I tell all my clients, don't wait until you find a property to take the 8-hour course. The 8-hour course is your education. It's teaching you what questions to ask me, what questions to ask your realtor. So that way you can make sure that you are holding yourself accountable and you have all the information you need necessary. So that way you can qualify for your home and know what to do. So that way you're getting the best deal for you and your family. What type of properties are eligible? Single family homes. Some people call them SFRs. Some people call them single family homes. And some people just call them their house. It's a 1-unit property that you plan to live in. We can also do condominiums. If it's a condo, we can do 1- and 2-unit properties. So on this program, you can go up to a 2-unit property, but for all of my people that are trying to house hack and maximize their rental income, this grant program does not work for 3 to 4 units, only 1 to 2-unit properties, okay? Income and guidelines. So we talked about that just a little bit. So if it's in a targeted area, meaning when I run the address, if it qualifies for the targeted area, you qualify for the grant, right? On my next time I do this presentation, because I think the last time is going to be Friday, I'm going to have the grid up for you guys so that way we can give you the link. So that way you can have some fun and run your own addresses. But I can run the addresses for you. If you get a yes question mark in the box, it qualifies. And it's been hitting a lot of areas. Non-targeted areas, if you don't buy in a targeted area, you can make up to $143,880 and still get this grant, right? This grant is here to support moderate and middle income buyers. So this grant is not just for poor people, right? Like a lot of times when people hear about grants, oh, they're just terrible people. Oh, they are just not going to pay their mortgage now. I was reading about some things on Facebook, like people really downing the grant. This is for somebody that is smart and intelligent and has the ability to move fast and take advantage of money that is available at a very low interest rate. So regardless of what anybody has to say, this is a real opportunity for you. And if you have $50,000 in your bank account right now, and you were going to buy a home and I can get you an extra $25,000, you have to understand that you would be taking that grant money if it makes sense, because it's an opportunity and it doesn't put you in a box. It just gives you more bandwidth so you can get your next property faster or work on your retirement faster. So don't let people talk you out of things. Always talk to a licensed professional, and I will always tell you what makes sense and what doesn't make sense based off the numbers. And what makes sense for John may not be the same thing that makes sense for Jack. And I'll tell you why. John may never have the ability to save for a down payment and must use higher interest rate opportunities to get in so long as he can afford it, right? Jack may have a 401k and can borrow right now and don't have to. But if you purchase a property in 2025 versus waiting until 2029, you're likely going to pay less money now, because guess what happens to property values? They go up. And guess what people do as time go by? They pay more. So it's not about what is going on, it's about what's going on for the situation for you and your family. So that is my Cook County grant, right? Simple point, right? Simple, sweet, right to the point. For the questions that I can see, does anybody have questions in regards to the Cook County grant? Any questions? Any questions? Anything in the chat, Emeka? Yes, I will. So the minimum credit score, and we didn't discuss that on the other slides, is 620 for the Cook County grant. So you really want to have a good 620 to 660 credit score. 660 is the aim. And you want to have either been on your job for 2 years, or you want to have been in school, received a degree, and now you're starting a job. If you feel like your credit score is in that range, then my application would be the application you would do. And you can do that by going to loansbynatasha.com, and we'll have a slide coming up here for there. To direct you as well. If you know your credit score is 400, you just had a bankruptcy, and you have some things that you need to fix and you need true credit repair, then you will work with a credit repair person first and then come to me. But I'm more than happy to assist you with guidance along the way. But the starting point for a lender, 580 minimum is where you want to start. And then, you build kind of from there. And then credit repair, they can do more of a repair if it's under that 580. If it's at 580, we have internal credit repair we could do, where, say for instance, if your credit cards are maxed out, or if you're over, if they're maxed out, or if they're over the limit, and it's not a late situation, it's just a pay some things down situation, we have some internal tools that we can help you with that are free as well. So feel free to do the application. We'll see where you stand and we can get back to you. But like I said, if you have recent lates, 30-day lates on mortgages, if you have bankruptcies and foreclosures, then we can loop you to a good credit repair person so they can just start you off with some credit repair to help you clean everything up. But great question. So good question. So we cannot combine this grant with the renovation loan, but this next grant that is coming up here, the CHA grant, this is a grant that you can use with a renovation loan, but the Cook County grant, 5% of the purchase price is only for properties that are not in need of a renovation. So like I said, the CHA, which I'm about to go over next, I can combine that with the renovation. So if you are doing a renovation loan, then you would look into the CHA grant, which has slightly tougher qualifying requirements. But if you are not doing a renovation loan, you will have the ability to stack the Cook County grant for the $25,000. And if you are not a voucher holder, which means you are a CHA resident that is in the voucher program and they pay your rent for you, then you can get another $10,000 with the 25 if you qualify for both. Okay. If you are a voucher holder, you would qualify for $20,000 in down payment assistance, right? Or they will pay your mortgage for 15 or 20 or 30 years, depending on what you qualify for. So I only say this to say that we just have to talk about what's going on with your situation to determine how do we stack these two grants. Are you going to go 45,000? Are we going to go 25,000 and have CHA pay your mortgage for 15 to 30 years? Or if you're not part of the Choose to Own program, do you qualify for the total 35,000? So that's what I'll be doing on my one-on-one consultation. And you can go to loansbynatasha.com. You can either click to apply or you can click a property survey. It'll ask you some questions and it'll give you the ability to schedule a call with me so we can talk about it before you apply to make sure you're good to go. So let's talk about CHA if we don't have any more questions. Do we have any more questions? Got it. So CHA grant, and I call it the CHAC grant, but the CHA grant, they will give you $20,000 if you are a recipient, meaning you are on the voucher program and you have a voucher, or they will pay your mortgage for 15 to 30 years. I try to talk my clients into getting their mortgage paid if that's going to yield them more than 20,000 over 15 to 30 years. If your Section 8 is going to pay your mortgage and it's going to total to more than 20,000, then I would like for you to take all of the money they're going to give you instead of taking the quick buyout. And what you can do is you can take the 20,000 or let them pay your mortgage for 15 to 30 years. Now come back to my other screen with the Cook County grant. So I can give you 5% from Cook County if you are on the voucher holder program, right? And then we can have Section 8 pay your mortgage for 15 to 30 years, depending on what you qualify for, and keep you in the program, right? If you are not a voucher holder, we can get you $35,000 if you qualify for both programs. And I'm gonna say that again, we could get you $35,000 if you qualify for both programs. So in this grid, and this is the only screen I think I have this on, the loan limits for CHA is much lower than the loan limits for the Cook County grant. So Cook County grant is either in the targeted area and no amount, or it is 143,000. Well, we divide that by 2, we're still not at the CHA limit. So if you only have one person in your household, that's limit is $61,800, right? So much lower than CHA. If it's 2 people in the home, 70,600. 3 individuals, 79,450, and then 4 is 88,250. Now, depending on the property address, it determines the AMI. So if you're 120% AMI, as you can see, that number goes up from 61,000 to 92,000. So depending on the property address, you may qualify for that CHAC loan, that CHA grant, in addition to the Cook County grant. Or you may qualify for the CHA and not Cook County. And the only time you will qualify for the CHA and not the Cook County grant is if you're purchasing a 3 or 4 unit, or you're doing a renovation loan. Then you will qualify for that CHA, but not the Cook County grant. So most people that qualify for Cook County will qualify for CHA. But if you go over 3 to 4 units, if you go over 2 units, then you don't qualify for Cook County. CHA will let you buy a 1, 2, 3, or a 4 unit. And CHA does not even have a credit score requirement. However, your lender has a requirement. So you have to at least have a 580 if you're putting 3.5% down, and a 540 with 10%. But I want to encourage everybody to have at least a 660, because credit is equal to our freedom, our financial freedom, and the availability to buy what we want when we want it at the rate that makes sense for what we're buying. So with that being said, we want to keep our credit right, so that way we can keep our bank accounts tight. And I'm going to go to my next screen here. You can use the funds for down payment, closing costs, buying down the interest rate, benefits. You're getting a grant. The CHA is the best grant on the market. There is no interest rate tied to it. It's 100% your money. It doesn't cost you $1 extra. It's just, a little harder to qualify for, but it's an awesome program. As long as you stay in the home, you're not required to pay it back. It's 100% forgiven within 5 years, right? And this is the Cook County grants parameters, but it's 100% forgiving within that 5 years of you living there. Say, for instance, you move out of the property prior to the 5 years, then you would have to pay back the unlived used amount of the grant. So that's something we can put together with numbers for you, so you can see what that looks like if something happens and you had to leave. But if you do pay it back, you're paying it back at 0% interest rate. So once again, it's not costing you anything, and it gave you the ability to build some wealth and get into that home sooner. I have had contracts coming in all day today. So let's get you guys a contract in here so we can get you, kind of to the finish line. And I'm sorry, my slides were a little mixed up. So this is the one for CHA, no minimum credit score, debt to income ratio is 45%. The debt income ratio on Cook County is 50%, right? So once again, CHA is a little tighter, but they're looser with their units, because I can do a 1, 2, 3, or 4 unit. And for the CHA, I can combine that with a FHA, a conventional, or a VA loan. They must be a first-time home buyer for CHA, but for Cook County, they can own one other home. So definitely remember that. CHA and non-CHA options. So once again, this is just kind of repeated information. These are my most commonly asked questions. They can get, if you're in the voucher program, you get $20,000 or the ability for CHA to cover your mortgage. If not, you can get $10,000, and you can stack that with the Cook County grant as well. You can stack both of these grants with any other grant programs. University of Chicago, they have different grant programs. If you work there and you live in Woodlawn, they give you money. Other programs may have a work option, right? Or if you have an employer and you want to email benefits and say, hey, it'll be a great idea if you guys give us, come up with a program where you gave money towards purchasing a house. Once we sign their programs up, they can stack any of those incentives by employers with the grants that I'm offering you today to maybe get you more than $35,000 or $45,000, depending on what you qualify for. Any questions now, Emeka? I can't see that screen. Awesome. So for those of you who have not already applied with me, if you want to get pre-approved, these are the documents that we require. I do a pre-underwrite. So the goal is to get your file pre-approved as soon as possible. However, sometimes we have to go and get third-party verifications or do things. But what I do is I make sure you're pre-approved before you start shopping, because once you find the property, that's the time to enjoy your home buyer experience, not to be stressed out over documents. So my team is going to ask for 30 days of pay stubs, right? If you get any bonus, overtime, variable income, and some days you get 40 hours, some days you get 50, some days you get 20, then I'm going to ask for your last pay stubs of 23 and 24. Since COVID, most companies use an ADP portal where you can kind of download the paperwork or whatever the situation is. So with that being said, this will allow me to expedite your pre-approval. And if I don't need anything from a third party and I have everything I need, I generally can get back to you within 1 to 2 hours from the hours of 8 a.m. and 3. And then after that, we're back on that next day. So sometimes we get them out later, but we try to get our pre-approvals out within an hour in exchange for you giving us the documents that we needed to get the job done. 2 years W-2s, 1 month bank statement. Why am I asking for a bank statement? Because we have Sezzle. And we have all of these accounts that you can click and make 4 payments and Karma and all of that good stuff. So those things are what causes stress under an underwrite. So what I do is I view your bank statements to see how you're looking, how's your flow, what are your deposits looking like? So that way, when you go under contract, we don't have to start talking about that. We already have a strategy. Things can always come up, but I try to do my due diligence to make sure that I'm dotting my I's and crossing my T's to have you blessed with a nice homebuyer experience. If you're self-employed, we need the last 2 years tax returns, profit and loss, and 1 month bank statement. And oftentimes I can even use 1 year taxes if you're not in an FHA loan. If you are self-employed, have a consultation for me before you start uploading your documents. You can complete the application, but call me first. Let's talk before you just start sending me anything so we can make sure that we have you in the right situation. And last but not least, you can apply by scanning the link. This will take you directly to my loan application. You can also go to loansbynatasha.com. And if you are not following me yet, you can follow me at Loans by Natasha on Instagram and Natasha Robinson on Facebook. And that is all I have. And that is 6:30 on the dot. So I hope I was able to share some information with you guys that will help you through your process. I don't think that this grant will be available that long. And I'm not saying it as a sales pitch to rush you, but if you're closer to your purchase, if the down payment is what was holding you back, please reach out to me. Let's see what we can do to get you into a property so that way we can get you to the next steps. And Emeka, if we don't have any more questions, then that's all I have for tonight. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I am Natasha Robinson, MLS number 332074. I am your loan officer, and I look forward to bringing you all the programs as they come to help you have some variety on what you're going to do and what product you're going to choose to find the dream home for you and your family. You guys have a good night, and I will see you next Monday at 6 p.m. We're going to be talking about bank statement loans, DSCR loans. So for all my self-employed borrowers, non-traditional, those that cannot get financed with their regular documents because they're not paying taxes to the IRS, we have something for you next week. So feel free to tune in. Tell someone, your beauticians, your barbers, let them know that we have other programs that we may be able to help them. It's not down payment assistance, but this is an opportunity for them to purchase a home in 2025 and get buyer ready. So you guys have a good night, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon.